Do you want to know the top 10 books that I recommend that you read this year that will make the biggest impact on your life? I've read hundreds of personal development books, and I made a list for you of what I feel are the 10 best ones that you can read. To get this list for free, go to mwfmotivation.com/booklist and download it there. All right, I'll get you the podcast right now. Welcome to the MWF Motivation Podcast, one of the top-rated motivational podcasts in the world. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I come out with a short, to-the-point, no BS podcast designed to transform you from who you are today into who you want to be. There's no fluff here, just life-changing content. My name is Rob Dial, and the podcast starts now. Welcome to today's episode. If you have not yet done so, please subscribe to us however you are listening to my voice so that you never miss another episode. And also, if you have not yet signed up for the webinar, which I'm going to be hosting tomorrow, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, go to mwfmotivation.com/webinar to sign up for the free webinar. I'm going to be teaching you how your brain works, how it holds you back from being successful, and how to hack it to make sure that you will 100% be successful. So I'm going to be running this webinar called Hack Your Brain to Success. It will be tomorrow. If you're listening to this later on down the road, a month from now, 2 months from now, still go to mwfmotivation.com/webinar. Maybe I will be running a webinar sometime in the future, but for those of you that are listening to this on the day it comes out, it is going to be this Thursday, I think it's May 4th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So join in mwfmotivation.com/webinar. But let's dive into today's episode. So today we're going to be talking about chasing rabbits. And that might seem a little bit odd to you, but it'll make sense once I dive into it. And lately I've had the question asked to me a few times. Someone says, I have this really good idea for something. And I have 5 really good ideas. I have these things that I want to go this path, and I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I could also, I could see myself doing really well at this. How do I succeed at all of them? And they ask questions like, how do I succeed at all of them? Or how do I know what to do? Like, how do I just take the right steps so I can succeed at all of them? And the answer that I keep giving everybody is the answer that I've heard a lot of different times in a bunch of different ways. And the problem is nowadays with technology, as amazing as it is, where we can learn pretty much anything that we want to by just looking at our computers and just researching it. We have people that are pretty much dabblers, is what I feel like. Most people are dabblers. They don't find one thing and sink their claws into that one thing and stay there for a couple years and just really try to master whatever that one thing is. Whether it's a couple years, whether it's more than that, they don't try to master. What they do is they try to get pretty good at a lot of different things. And then what happens is, because they're pretty good at a lot of different things, they take their time and say, well, what if I were to do all of these things? And what you have to realize is the problem is nobody wants to buy from somebody or get coached from somebody or get products from somebody who's pretty good at something or pretty good at a lot of different things. Somebody wants to be coached, or they want to buy products from, or they want you to design their products from someone who they wanted to get those products and buy from somebody who is as close to an expert as possible in whatever field that may be. People don't want to learn or buy from somebody who doesn't know their ish, if you know what I'm trying to say. You can't dip your feet in like everybody else. Everybody else just likes to dip their feet in. They like to get a little bit of knowledge in this area. They like to dip their feet in and get a little knowledge in this area, and then a little bit of knowledge in this area. And then they get confused because they never know exactly which area to go for because of the fact that they're pretty good at a lot of different things, or they have a little bit of knowledge in a lot of different areas. And one of the main problems, like I said, is because people like to dabble too much. So people ask me, what should I do if I have these 5 different things? What should I do? I have these 3 or 4 different things, these 2 different avenues that I could go. And you've heard me say it before, and I'll say it again. There's no reason to have a plan B because it distracts from plan A. So what does that mean? That means that you need to have one thing. If you haven't read the book, The One Thing, I would recommend buying it. I read 40 books last year. It was my favorite book that I read for sure. One of my favorite books I've ever read. The One Thing, if you haven't listened to the episode that I do with Jay Papazan, who is one of the authors of The One Thing, go back and listen to that. If you want to buy the book, The One Thing, or get it for free, you can get it for free at audible.com from Audible. If you go to mwfbook.com, they'll give you a free 30-day trial, and with that free trial comes a book. So you have no excuse of why not to either read or listen to this book at this point. Go with The One Thing. Figure out what your one thing is. It's like when I had the billionaire Jeff Hoffman, the founder of Priceline.com on, he said that a lot of people will come up to him and they say, Jeff, I have these 5 really good ideas, blah, 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 blah. What do you think I should do? And his very first thing that he says is, I think you should get rid of 4 of your ideas. And the problem is, he says you need to stop focusing on all of the things and you need to get a gold medal in one thing. And what that means by getting a gold medal in one thing means that if you were to go to the Olympics and try to get a gold medal, you can't be in a bunch of different events. You have to specifically go for one event. You know, if you're a runner, maybe you could do a couple different track events, something like that. But you can't be a basketball player in the Olympics and then also happen to be a baseball player in the Olympics. People that are in the Olympics that are the absolute best at their craft in the entire world spend all of their time going into that one thing. So when he says you need to get a gold medal in one thing, means that you need to focus on just one thing. So if you have 3 or 4 or 5 ideas of ways you can make a bunch of money and ways you could be successful, find out the one that really strikes you the most, the one that really hits you to the core and says, this is something that I think I should go for, and go for just that one thing. That's the problem most days with people, is everyone likes to dabble. Nobody likes to commit. Everybody seems to have commitment issues nowadays. And the way it works is, this is kind of what happens. So you have an idea. If you're watching on YouTube, you could see this. But when you start to learn something, your knowledge and your improvement is like a huge growth in the very beginning. It goes from absolutely nothing to this huge spike. And then what happens is 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years down the road, you get after this huge spike, it's usually a couple months, you start to plateau. And what happens is most people plateau and they say, man, I thought this was for me. I guess this isn't for me. I'm going to go try something else. And what happens is that plateau happens to every single person, no matter who you are, no matter what you're in. You're trying to learn guitar, you're trying to sing, you're trying to become an athlete, you're trying to be a professional basketball player or a writer. You're going to go up, you're going to get a huge, huge spike in improvement, and then it's going to completely plateau and go straight. And that is where most people give up. And you have to be able to fight through that plateau in order to go through the plateau and then go back up again. So most people get to these plateaus and they think, well, maybe this wasn't for me. Maybe this isn't the thing I need to concentrate on. No, if you're at that plateau, that's where you're supposed to be. You have to fight through it. And the old Chinese proverb that I'm going to share with you deals with this perfectly. And it says, if you try to chase 2 rabbits, you will catch neither. So think of it this way. There's 2 rabbits running around your backyard. You're going to catch neither one if you try to catch both of them at the exact same time. What you have to do is you have to focus on that one rabbit, that one thing that you have to focus on, and you have to go after it. And after you catch that one rabbit, well, at that point in time, you can then switch your efforts and try to go for the other rabbit as well. And a perfect example of this is the lion example. When somebody's taming a lion, when there's a lion tamer trying to tame a lion, you ever notice they always put something in between themselves and the actual lion itself? Anybody have any idea what that is? It's a 4-legged stool. Why would somebody get into this cage with a massive cat that's about to kill them with only a 4-legged stool? Well, what happens is they take the stool, they face it upside down, and they put the 4 legs facing the tiger or the lion. And what happens is the lion or tiger sees these 4 legs and it gets a mini paralysis. And the reason why is because it doesn't know which one to attack first. So what happens is it literally gets a small paralysis and doesn't move and doesn't try to attack and gets docile because it doesn't know which one to attack. The same thing is going to happen for you. If you have 4 different goals that you're going after, you're not going to know which one to go for. So most people have paralysis by analysis, where they have so many different routes that they could go that they don't know what to do. They just have to sit there and they can't figure out which way to go. The reason why is because they have too many routes. They have too many things they're focusing on. If you find yourself in this category, you need to literally take as many things you can off of the list and go, what is my one thing? And this should work with you every single day as well. Like I said, most people wake up and they have a huge to-do list. You've heard me talk about this before. They have this huge to-do list, and then they feel like they never get anything accomplished. And the reason why is because they go for the stuff that doesn't matter. What you need to do is you need to make your to-do list and then go, what's my one thing today that I have to get done? If nothing else gets done, what's the one thing that I have to get done? And what happens if you do that one thing, at least that one thing every single day, you will get 7 absolutely important things done in a week, which is probably 7 times more than most people do in the world anyways. So you have to focus on that one thing. You have to realize that you can't chase 2 rabbits. You've got to find the one, you've got to focus on that one, and you've got to put all your time, money, effort, blood, sweat, tears into that one thing. And when you do, if you do and you don't give up, there's almost absolutely no way that you can't become successful from it. There's almost no way that you cannot become successful. There's no way that you just can't put thousands and thousands of hours into something and then somehow not become successful. So what I want you to take from this is, if you're one of the people who sees all of the shiny objects, we like to call them, all of the things that you could do and all of these different ways that you could become rich or could become successful, or these different ways that you could get into these great relationships. I don't know what it might be, but if you see all of these quote unquote shiny objects, you need to pick one of them and focus on that one, and every single morning, focus on how you can get closer and closer to that one thing more than anything else. So that's what I want you to think about, and that's what I want to challenge you, is how can you find what that one thing is and cross everything else off of the list? Because plan B only distracts from plan A. With that, I want to leave you the same way I leave you every single episode. Make it your mission to make somebody else's day better. If you have not yet done so, please share this with somebody. If you know somebody that could get some type of benefit from this, please share with them. We're trying to grow organically as quick as we possibly can. But I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing day.
Well, that's it for today's podcast. If you want the show notes for this episode, they can be found at mwfmotivation.com. Also, if you liked this episode, please spread the love and share it with a friend, because it's our mission to help as many people as we can. And to keep in touch, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Both handles are at MWF Motivation with no spaces. Now, you know what time it is. So go out and make your dreams a reality.